Hello, and welcome back to another year of Atmosphere. I'm excited to be here to share the world of Aruba and the innovations that we've been at with you. But this year's theme is really about your journey, your edge, how you have embraced the innovation and made it your own. So let's start. First, I want to start with just acknowledging that the last year has seen dramatic change around us. The world has, as we know it, has clearly changed. And a few data points that bring it to life: the growth in telemedicine and telehealth, over 15x growth in the use of telehealth, 3x growth in grocery retail because of digital, 93 million subscribers in less than a year for Disney for their media streaming service, and $1 billion quarter for Peloton. These are all signs that digital is influencing everything we do in our lives. And that's ultimately the conversations that I've been having with all of you over the last 9 months. The priorities that have come very clearly to me from you has been, first, employee experience, not just employee safety when they're at work, but their overall experience, their mental, physical, and emotional well-being, so that they can be most productive and most empowered when they're at work. So this spans the idea of work from home and in the workplace coming together and enabling a great employee experience. Priority two I see always is customers. How do we use digital technologies to bring together the physical and the digital aspects of business and enable a great new customer experience and ultimately help the business? Automation is going to be at the forefront of most conversations, not just for IT operations, but also the back office operations. For those of you operating warehouses or factories, how do we use robotics and other technologies to enable truly automated operations, lights out operations at these facilities? And digital, as I said, is going to be the thread that binds everything. But another thread that binds everything is also cybersecurity. As enterprises go digital, it is very clear that security needs to be paramount in all these conversations. And finally, cost. Cost is always an important conversation, and especially so in the last 9 months as the economy went through a downturn and now beginning to show signs of a recovery. Many of those conversations have been, how do we take these lumpy capital purchases that drives most IT budgets to something that is more smoother, easier to consume, and easier to operationalize from a budget standpoint? These have been the top conversations that we have had, and one thing that is very clear is incremental change is not going to allow you to transform fast enough. And therefore, the approaches, what got us here, is not going to get us there. This has never been more true. And as you look at the digital enterprise of the future, one thing that's become very clear is that enterprise is going to be edge to cloud. On the one hand, you have the hybrid cloud where the applications live, which is going to be not just in your data center, but in multiple clouds and delivered as a service in a SaaS model all at the same time. So the application landscape is going to get highly distributed. And then, of course, you have the intelligent edge, which is really the place where your productive activity happens. This is the world of users, devices, things, and of course the data that flows from these edge deployments. Now, one thing is very clear is these edges are going to be highly distributed. These are your classrooms, your warehouses, your retail stores, energy farms, and so on. And so the problem is, how do I deploy technology at these edge locations in a cost-effective manner? And to be able to do that, automation needs to be at the foundational heart of it. And so while the edge deployments get fully distributed, it is also important to get them fully automated. And cloud is going to be a very, very important part of the techniques that we can use to enable automation at the edge. We learned how to automate clouds. How do we bring those techniques to automate the distributed edge locations that we see as well? So this is the foundation of the future of the digital enterprise. And to take advantage of this future, we launched the Aruba Edge Services platform last year. The 4 building blocks of the Edge Services platform: connect, to get everything connected and data flowing; protect, to ensure that cybersecurity is at the heart of everything we do; and then, of course, ultimately delivering on the business value, which is analyze the data and act upon it. These came together in a unified platform, which we call the Aruba ESP platform. ESP was a name intentionally because AI is going to be at the heart of this. And we want to be able to deliver this as a service, and Aruba Central is the vehicle from which ESP is consumed. You can obviously experience ESP in home environments for work from home, branch offices, campuses, data centers, and clouds even. Later in the talk, you'll hear me talk to a few customers about how they are embracing ESP for their journeys and honing their edge. Now, one important thing I want to touch on is how you have embraced ESP, and it's reflected in the momentum that we are seeing in the business. 2020 has been a remarkable year. Initially, we saw a little bit of a dip in the business, like everybody else, but it came roaring back. And the last 9 months have been a dramatic acceleration of the adoption of ESP as a platform. The business has shown growth, consecutive growth quarter over quarter, and the most recent quarter, we re-entered the double-digit growth territory, which is fantastic for a business of our scale. 25% growth in the Airheads community, which is always heartening for me to see more engineers getting part of the community that we've built together. And of course, my shout out to the 750 Airheads volunteer corps who have always been there helping the communities that we all live in and serve. One capstone, one huge win that really signaled the adoption of ESP in a big way was the win at the Pentagon that we announced last year, where Pentagon has always been using Aruba Wi-Fi for their wireless needs, but they also now have switched over to using Aruba CX for their switching architecture. So the entire building effectively is delivered as an Aruba ESP edge using wired and wireless from and of course ClearPass as well. So now, if you look at the aspects of the ESP, one important area that we want to talk about is the WAN. We've talked about wired and wireless, and I'll touch upon that again, but SD-WAN is going to be a foundational technology that brings the edge and the cloud together. And in addition to our organic developments that we have done with SD Branch, we also were fortunate to bring Silver Peak into the Aruba family, and adding that to the portfolio of ESP allows us to really deliver SD-WAN capabilities in a plethora of different configurations. And you will see actually later David talk about Zero Trust and SASE, which is going to be an important ingredient to enabling this edge to cloud architecture of the future. So hear a lot more about that from David soon. Now, Wi-Fi has been a pillar of edge to cloud for a very long time, and I'm excited to share that we have seen Wi-Fi 6 in particular, the adoption of that dramatically pick up. We have shipped now over 2 million access points, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but over 20 million access points over the lifetime of Aruba, which is phenomenal to see that growth. But the last 9 months have been about having that common architecture that extends from the workplace, whether it's in a campus, to your distributed edge locations and branches, all the way to people's homes, using a common foundation, which is AOS 10. We are in the 10th version of our operating system software, and with AOS 10, which is cloud native, you have the opportunity to now consume it flexibly across any location. Now, on the switching side, which is the complement to the Wi-Fi piece, we're experiencing great growth with 46% growth quarter over quarter for CX switches and over 4 million ports shipped so far. This is on the heels of a platform that uses AOS CX as its operating system that extends in a consistent manner from the edge to the aggregation to the core all the way to the data center. That has been the signature of AOS CX from the very beginning, and I'm very, very pleased to see the adoption that we are seeing in our customer base. But I think the most dramatic growth has been in Aruba Central, which is our cloud-native network management and network control system. And here we have seen dramatic growth of 18% customer growth quarter over quarter. And now we have quadrupled the number of customers, approaching almost 100,000 customers on the Aruba Central platform, which is now globally available. It is available in every country that you operate in. And to enhance this offer even further, we are bringing a new capability, which is Aruba Central on-prem. This is something that many of you have requested us, and said we are many a times not able to fully go to the public cloud. We still need an on-premise solution. So we're bringing Aruba Central and its capabilities on-premise to help many of you in that area. And this is going to be a complement to Airwave, which has always been our multi-vendor network management tool. Aruba Central on-prem and Airwave will come together to serve your network management needs as you continue to evolve. Now, one important aspect of Aruba Central is AI Ops. And in fact, AI Ops is going to be the foundation for operating the intelligent edge as you grow it out. And so I want to double click on that a little bit and give you a little bit more color of real world experiences using AI Ops. What are we seeing out there? To talk about this a little bit more, I think it's important to understand why AI Ops. Fundamentally, if you look at the intelligent edge, you'll see many types of environments: warehouses, stores, classrooms, lecture halls, dormitories, stadiums, et cetera, et cetera. And these environments all have different behaviors, fundamentally. You add to that the device types: smartphones, tablets, laptops, things, video cameras, et cetera, the complexity goes up some more. And then you add to that all the requirements of your business, which translates themselves into features. You might want to enable IPv6 or other types of protocols on your network. And suddenly the combinatorial problem grows exponentially. And to operate this, ultimately, you arrive at configuration options. And you say, I'm going to create templates, config templates for different environments. I'm going to create a template for my warehouse, template for my store, template for my workplace, and standardize on those templates so I can operate this network at scale in a reliable manner. Now, the challenge with this is the tyranny of defaults. Most of these operating systems that we ship out of the factory, they're shipped to basically be most conservative. And we do that because we want to admit as many devices into the network as possible seamlessly. But by doing so, what you end up doing is you are derating the performance of the network environment. What you end up having is basically a high-performance race car. Let's say take a Wi-Fi 6 network or a high-performance Ethernet network. You're rating that down and operating that at a much lower level. So Ferrari running at 20 miles an hour is what you end up getting by using those most conservative defaults. So how do we change that? The way to change that is by learning what your environment actually is doing in real time, and then optimizing it in real time to give you the best performance possible. So how do you now take that Ferrari and really operate it at the peak performance that it's actually built for? That's what AI Ops is really meant for. So there's 2 or 3 areas that AI Ops are very useful in. The first is reactive AI Ops. And I think this is the most common thing everybody talks about, which is, I have a problem, help me resolve it. I call this the needle in a haystack problem, which is there's a specific issue. I need to get to the root cause very, very quickly and get it resolved. And ideally, the system takes care of it itself. How do we do that? First and foremost, we need to be able to curate the data that is coming in via telemetry from the devices and deliver insights. These are fancy terms for a bunch of mathematics algorithms that are running on the data, giving you insights as to what is going on with various types of devices and environments. And then pair that with AI search, which is a very flexible way to query all the data that we're collecting from these edge environments. And then couple that with AI Assist, which is an automated way to actually collect all the logs of interesting activity in your network environment and feeding that to both you and our support engineers so they can come together and help you resolve those issues much faster. The mean time to repair can go down by 90% using these AI Insights, AI Search, and AI Assist technologies, and really applying AI to the reactive mode of what most of you do. But to me, the most interesting part is not just this part, the troubleshoot part. It is really about how do we proactively set up your network to deliver that peak performance at all times. Here, we have learned some incredible lessons. In some retail environments, we have seen 2.4 gigahertz propagation. We have seen too many radios operating at 2.4 gigahertz as a default setting. But as we learn that environment, we have been able to tune those radios in a way that we've been able to deliver 100% increase in the capacity in those retail stores. That is incredible to see, and we could not have done that without collecting data in the real time and understanding what is happening in those stores. Similarly, in higher ed, taking advantage of the real-time use of the device types, we were able to increase the channel width and actually deliver higher speed performance for all those devices and improve performance by 4 times in terms of the average speeds at which these devices connect into the network. And in enterprise environments, we have seen 30x reduction in user issues, where there used to be an issue a day from a user perspective, that's gone down to an issue a month, using, again, AI and the algorithms that are operating on the data that we're collecting from these locations. And these are all real results from real customer deployments that we have seen. But the one thing that I frankly did not realize as was very, very important was the secure aspect of AIOps. We focus a lot on the operational piece of it, but the protective aspect of AIOps is something you told me you found very interesting. We delivered initially a capability that we call ClearPass Device Insight that gives you full visibility into all the devices that are connecting and what type of device it is at the edge of the network. ClearPass Device Insight is now integrated as part of Aruba Central. And so you now have very good understanding of everything that's on your network and what it is doing on the network at the same time. And you said this has been extremely valuable in turning it around into policies that allow you to create protective environments for these devices when they connect into the network. I had the opportunity to actually talk to Julian Coe at Northwestern about his adoption of Aruba technologies across Wi-Fi, switching, and of course, AI using Aruba Central. And so let's have a listen at the conversation. It'll be very, very enlightening for you. I'm here with Julian Coe, Associate Director of Networking and Telecommunications at Northwestern University. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Kirti. How's it going?
Very good. Great that you could join us today. Northwestern obviously has been a customer for more than a decade now for Aruba. And so without further ado, let's get started and talk a little bit about the last year.
In short, technology has touched every single aspect of the entire institution's response to the pandemic. So in addition to the teaching and learning items that I've already talked about, our data and voice infrastructures, this being my personal responsibility with my team, we needed to adapt very quickly by absorbing a massive increase in VPN traffic, while at the same time, we actually had a project going on to migrate to a completely brand new VPN platform for our entire university as well. We also had to work to adjust call centers and voice platform systems to allow for a much higher level of remote work and collaboration than what had been done previously. Technology was top to bottom part of the entire response for the institution.
Northwestern has been a customer in the campus arena for Aruba for over a decade now, and you've experienced obviously the various iterations of our code and our products. And your newest evaluation that you're working on is Central on-prem for your network management needs. I know you've been a beta customer of ours, and so I'm sure many of our customers are very eager to hear your experience and your feedback. So how has the beta been?
So it's overall, I would say that the beta has been going very well. We have been Airwave users since we first became Aruba customers, as you said, over a decade ago in 2008. We started with just a few hundred access points, primarily focused in our residence halls, and now we have over 7,000 access points that are spread over 250 buildings on 2 main campuses. So with that scale of an environment, consolidated monitoring and management of that environment has been a basic requirement from day one.
What's been the migration process like for you, going from Airwave to Central on-prem?
So we've done migrations now a couple of times, a number of times, as each new upgrade version of the beta progresses, we do another migration, and the process is very straightforward.
And what's working well, and how do you see this fitting into your plans for the organizations going forward?
The performance gains alone in Central on-premise, even in the beta versions, when it comes to things like running reports and doing visual RF analysis, those performance gains are significant. Central on-premise is also much more capable when it comes to managing multiple large clusters of access points and controllers at the scale that we're dealing with. So with Central on-premise, we're able to come back now into a single environment and get visibility and a single viewpoint across all of our locations. So looking to the future, the modern architecture that Central on-premise is built upon, we believe will lead us to a greater velocity of development, faster feature enhancements and faster bug fixes.
But AI ops is going to be very, very important for future operations of large campus environments like yours. Perhaps some comments on AI ops and its importance for you?
Sure. So AI and machine learning based solutions have a huge potential to realize reductions in time spent in terms of network provisioning, network operations, and troubleshooting. We've already gotten our feet wet in this area, so to speak, as one of the first NetInsight customers. And NetInsight, over the time that we've been using it over the last few years, it has not only alerted us to some issues on our wireless network and suggested some mitigation pathways, but it's also given us visibility to be able to compare how our network is performing with those of our peers in a safe and anonymized way. So giving us that level of insight, not just at the local campus level, but also from a broader industry perspective, to say how do these issues pop up in environments that look sort of like ours. That's been very, very valuable.
Speaking of the network, you made a pretty significant decision recently to embrace our CX portfolio of switches for your campus as well, in addition to the wireless. Maybe you can give us a window into your decision-making framework and why you chose Aruba CX platforms.
And when we did our evaluation across the leaders in the field, the CX platform we felt gave us the best opportunity at an extremely competitive price point to unify our wireless and wired infrastructures under a single vendor, in addition to leveraging and using our existing investments in key Aruba solutions like ClearPass.
What are the anticipated benefits at the end of the day when you start to deploy this out? How do you see it benefiting both the user experience as well as the operator experience for the IT teams there?
And this will also greatly improve our ability to monitor what's happening on the network by tying devices and traffic back to actual users. We'll have a much better handle on what's going on and be able to respond faster and more effectively in the case of any types of incidents. Next thing is, as we've been talking about this dynamic provisioning, and a lot of this is based on API based integrations. By using open APIs and documented APIs to be able to integrate these systems together, that becomes much easier to maintain in terms of these monitoring and management systems, and the whole process of deploying new networks and new equipment will become a much more automated process, and rolling everything into that provisioning process, from deploying equipment to policy generation and ongoing maintenance, will just save a huge amount of time overall in terms of those types of monitoring and management needs. And then finally, we're looking forward to this whole area that we already touched on of advanced analytics and these unified tool sets, and that will give us the ability to reduce and automate these processes of troubleshooting and responding to issues that do occur.
So again, I want to thank you for your support and your being a customer of ours for over a decade. I know you go through a rigorous RFP process for each one of these, so thank you for putting us through our paces, asking us the hard questions, holding us accountable, and making us the vendor that you want us to be. And it really goes to the heart of our culture of customer first and customer last. So thank you for being there with us through thick and thin. I appreciate it, and thank you once again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
So as you could hear Julian talk about very clearly how he's adopting Aruba Central on-prem and CX in addition to the Wi-Fi on his campus environment, the key benefits, as we summarize it, is really about, one, improving that user experience and delivering a much higher performing network environment, and also lowering operating costs at the same time by having the system proactively look for trouble spots and getting those trouble spots resolved ahead of time. And ultimately, the underpinning of all of this is data, as I said, right? So data turning into insights using intelligent algorithms, then turning it into recommendations for the environments that you are operating your networks in, and then taking those recommendations and turning it into automated responses. That is the cycle, if you will, of activities that you will see Aruba AIOps continue to evolve in. Now, to change the topic a little bit and go from a large campus environment like Northwestern, I had the opportunity to talk to Richard Davis at Lowe's. Lowe's, as you know, is a massive retailer in the US. And here, let's take a listen at the conversation with Richard. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Richard Davis, Principal Architect of Network Engineering for Lowe's. Lowe's obviously is a giant retailer here in the United States. And it's really a pleasure for Richard to join us. Richard, hello.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
First, let's introduce our audience to Lowe's. You have a huge, long history with the company, and I'd love for the audience to hear a little bit more about Lowe's itself.
Lowe's started as a small town hardware store. They've now grown into one of the largest home improvement retailers in the world. We've got over 2,200 plus stores across the US and Canada. We have 300,000 plus employees. We average around 20 million visitors a week in our stores. And we're close to $90 billion in revenue in 2020.
The last year, I'm sure, has been a challenging one for you, and digital transformation is on the minds of pretty much everybody I talk to lately. So give us a window into your world for the last 1 year. What's changed? How do you plan to prepare for the future?
Yeah, last year was an interesting time. We were transforming. We've been on a journey to transform and modernize our stores pretty much for the last year and a half, almost 2 years.
Now, you selected Aruba a couple of years ago to roll out your store-wide network. It is a pretty impressive scale. So maybe give us a window into the scale of your operation. And also maybe you can talk a little bit about Aruba Central and the impact that it's had on the rollout.
Yeah, so we started the rollout probably in, I'm thinking now it was probably November, December of 2019.
Yeah.
And it was, we'd actually started our WAN rollout earlier than that in the late summer of 2019. They were running in parallel into 2020. So quite extensive rollout of just, updates to LAN, new wireless infrastructure. And Aruba Central was one of the key components that really helped us through that process because it was, just the scale at which we were able to automate and orchestrate everything made the process really fairly seamless. And the biggest, component that we had with our store operations is we did not want to interrupt any of the retail business at all, especially with everything that was going on through 19 and 20. So we were successful in doing that and kind of finished most of that rollout in October and November of last year.
And you have, 300,000 sales associates that are working through these stores. And how many access points did you roll out to serve them?
We're probably north of about 80,000 right now, 80 to 90,000 access points.
Got it. All obviously managed from the cloud. And any particular nuggets there from Aruba Central that stood out for you as you rolled it out and experienced, obviously, the AI ops components of it and so on?
Really, the insights that we were getting from that, there was a couple of things that we really benefited from, right? We have some different policies in different areas of the country, so we were able to create different management segments based on that. We had different store types and different platforms in the store, so we were able to manage that through policy orchestration. It was very, very seamless. And then the capabilities once we deployed from an operational standpoint, it really helped us to see what was actually happening, very deep insights into what's happening in the store environments.
Now, pivoting to the WAN, you mentioned that a couple of times, and by happy coincidence, you also selected Silver Peak before we acquired Aruba as your WAN provider, and now, of course, they're a part of the Aruba family. So as you look at your wireless infrastructure and the WAN infrastructure, what is your wish list or ask of us to bring the two together?
I'm really very excited about what I see within the Silver Peak orchestration, and then what I see in Aruba Central orchestration. We get a lot of deep, granular visibility in what's happening throughout the networks, which really helps enables our teams to be successful and really make sure that the business continues to function and run without having to think about the infrastructure at all.
Speaking of edge infrastructure, I know there is more than the LAN, the WAN, and Wi-Fi and security. You also have compute at the edge, and even there you are an HPE compute customer. So what would you like to see us do in that context as you think of edge computing in your retail stores?
One of the things that we're looking to see going forward is more of the hyper-converged technologies where we can merge both compute and storage at the edge.
Yeah, so we are in fact working on that, and later in the talk we will talk to Antonio, who will give us a little bit more visibility into how we are bringing the Aruba and the HP worlds together. Thank you again, Richard, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
So it was great catching up with Richard Davis, and really incredible to see the incredible scale at which he's operating the environment. 85,000 access points, all centrally managed, and delivering on the AI insights that is really making his world, his life a lot better. Now, another dimension of delivering the solution is as a service. Many of you have basically articulated that you want to operationalize your budgets, either by procuring the software as a service or many a times buying the entire network as a managed service, and evolving into more of a consumption model, which is what the network as a service concept is all about. And underpinning all of this, of course, is delivering that operationalization of the budget. So HP Financial Services, putting all of these different service packages together into ultimately, as Ravi will talk about from Infosys Next, delivering a business outcome for our customers. I had the opportunity to catch up with Ravi Kumar at Infosys, the president of Infosys, and how Infosys is delivering a managed service to our joint customer, Siemens Gamesa, which is a massive wind energy farm in Europe. So let's take a listen at the conversation with Ravi. Hi there, I'm here with Ravi Kumar, president of Infosys, a great partner of both HPE and Aruba. Ravi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kirti. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you and your audience.
Absolutely. I think as a start, Infosys obviously needs no introduction. It's a global integrator and a very, very close partner of ours. But perhaps you can introduce our customer, joint customer, Siemens Gamesa here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kirti. You know, Siemens Gamesa is a pioneer in renewable energy. And in 2017, Siemens bought Gamesa, and there was a merger, and Gamesa is a wind power major, and that's how the joint entity is Siemens Gamesa. So it kind of cuts across all renewable energy sources, I would say.
Perhaps maybe you can talk a little bit about their transformation journey and what they set out to do here.
Wind power is very uniquely edge, and they wanted a stack which is transformed enough for their needs, which are going to be agile and seamless across. So we were excited about it because it gave us the opportunity to create edge to core connectivity, as I call it, and end user access to both the Siemens and Gamesa applications, and actually bring them together in a unified way.
Perhaps a couple of points on the Aruba solution that maybe you can highlight that were particularly useful and important.
Sure, Kirti. You know, Intelligent Edge has been an overall strategy for Aruba, and we have deep partnership with the parent HPE for a long time. I think what resonated well on this solution footprint is the overall strategy, and I would say 4 things: connect, protect, analyze, and act. And that was something which really fitted into the bill of what they were looking for. Because remember one thing, windmills are literally on the edge. And that the whole fact that we could dissect the intelligent edge into connecting, protecting using your ClearPass security solution, analyzing and acting on a very agile way. We had IoT devices on a constant basis, incrementally getting added to wired and wireless networks, and with security as a priority and unifying the security layer on the edge, the solution was right up to what they were looking for, and that kind of actually was our differentiation in taking it to Siemens Gamesa. And now over the years, as I look back at what we told them and what we committed and what we executed, it kind of fits the bill.
A little bit about the uh, networking from the edge to the data center, we talk about moving from the data center to centers of data. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how that influenced your implementation.
The single biggest important factor is the network has to be agile enough to give consistent set of services depending on where the data is, and move the network in a very agile, sentient way, I would call it. I think Aruba's solution footprint, which was cloud managed, unified in many ways, and the operating model evolved as the network evolved, and as the network was agile enough. That whole process was I think very seamless, and the solution we envisaged kind of fitted the bill.
You mentioned, Ravi, the windmills, right? Ultimately, that is where the center of data is shifting, right? There's so much data being generated, analog data that is frankly never been generated in the past, and now processing that data at the edge requires us to move compute to the edge. So as you think about that world, any particular aspect of wind turbines and the edge deployment that you felt stood out for you?
So, Kirti, these were like edge devices. In any industry, windmills, you keep adding them on a constant basis. There is incremental capacity getting added, like IoT devices. So there were three things which kind of resonated very well in the solution footprint. One is Aruba's access points, um, deployment flexibility, I would say, and zero touch configuration.
As a service, I think is becoming more and more the norm in how customers want to consume technology, and having partners like you take all the technology we built, bring it together in a true, ultimately delivering business outcome for them as a service model is where the market is going. So anyway, finally, to summarize, any closing thoughts on the overall partnership that we have together across both Infosys, HPE, and Aruba?
So, Kirti, you made a very important point at the end. I think I've now seen many large enterprise relationships Infosys is orchestrating with HPE and Aruba, and a lot of industries where the core product is changing. If the core product is changing, enterprises want to focus their human capital, financial capital on the core, and take the non-core and give it away to providers who could give them back as a service. And they want that service to be modernized enough, and they want that service to be contemporary enough so that the core remains modern as well.
That's very insightful, Ravi. I completely agree with you on the core versus non-core and the transformation, and ultimately digital becoming the heart of most of the transformations out there. So again, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you are a very busy guy, so I appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your day and sharing this wonderful transformation journey with our customers.
Kirti, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for the partnership. I'm so excited about the teams on the ground, which are working on some very exciting joint initiatives. I look forward to more stories like this.
As you could tell with the conversation with Ravi, it is really incredible to see these technologies being put to action at the deep edge. Wind energy farms. This is a classic use case for the intelligent edge, where a lot of new data being generated and really moving the planet forward with renewable energy sources like wind and so on. So it's really heartening, and I want to thank Ravi again for the incredible partnership that we have going with Infosys. Now, as you reflect on all of those journeys, it is very clear that we've been on a journey over the last couple of decades. The last three big transitions for all of you has been the first, of course, in 2010 with the BYOD era, where we talked about the advent of smartphones and tablets and unified communications on these, and transforming and securely transforming network environments and the Wi-Fi environments in particular to embrace this new world. Then in 2015, we started to witness a transition to a mobile-first architecture, where wired and wireless came together, with the wireless as the primary network access method and wired as serving as the backbone. Cloud evolved as a management tool in this era. And then, of course, these systems were enhanced with AI. We introduced tools like NetInsight and other tools to enable AI to give you more intelligence on running those networks. Now, as we enter 2020s, the next decade is going to be about edge to cloud. And here we're going to bring not only the wired and wireless, but the WAN together. So the entire edge environment coming together from a networking perspective, infusing it with AI. So AI is no longer an enhancement on top, but it is built in to the network architecture. And of course, having security at the heart of it, which has always been a constant thread for us at Aruba from the very beginning, but enabling zero trust and the emerging SASE architectures to be built into it and delivering all of that in a highly flexible consumption-based model. And to me, though, it is about taking this and making it your journey. Your organization is asking you for specific transformations to be completed. And as you look at your networks, your environments, there's a significant set of questions that you need to ask. First and foremost is, how are you going to manage and automate this? And of course, you could go down the cloud path, like we've talked about with Aruba Central, but as Northwestern also indicated, they needed something on-premise. And so how much of it is cloud? How much of it is on-premise? Where do you stand? I think that's going to be one of the fundamental questions that you need to ask yourself. And then, of course, the hybrid operational model, which I think is going to be the norm for the future. Some cloud, some on-prem coming together. And then more specifically, looking at your network, and we fully realize that you're not going to flip a switch and upgrade your network overnight. So there's different entry points for how you could customize your journey. You could start with Wi-Fi 6 or SD-WAN, or upgrade the switching plant, or go to Aruba Central for the cloud management aspect, or embrace better security using zero trust methods, etc. But each one of these is just that. It's a starting point over a journey. And I invite you, obviously, to make this your journey, your edge. And we are obviously here to support you through that particular process. Now, so far, I've talked about the intelligent edge, and that's really what the Aruba ESP platform has been built for. But there is the complement to the intelligent edge in the edge to cloud world, which is the hybrid cloud. And as a part of HPE, the past 6 years, we have not only innovated at the intelligent edge, but we have been contributing to HPE's development of the hybrid cloud architecture. And in fact, I want to now introduce Antonio Neri, CEO of HPE, to talk a little bit about the impact that Aruba has had on HPE overall and the directional influence that Aruba is bringing to HPE. So over to you, Antonio.
Thanks, Kirti. I'm honored to be here with you today. At HPE, we believe the edge is the next frontier. The edge is where experiences happen in stores, in schools, in hotels, in the home, anywhere technology gets put into action. 3 years ago, HPE predicted the enterprise of the future will be edge-centric, cloud-enabled, and data-driven. And by acquiring Aruba in 2015, we are well positioned for this transition. And today, after 3 years and one global pandemic, that prediction came true. We are living in an edge-to-cloud world. As every company races to digitally transform, they require secure connectivity, the flexibility and agility that comes with a cloud computing experience, and the ability to process, manage, and mine their data, regardless of where it lives. HPE's edge-to-cloud platform as a service strategy is setting the bar in the industry. Our edge-to-cloud solution spans all aspects of networking, storage, and compute, and HPE's GreenLake Cloud Services is key to customers' transformation efforts. We are strides ahead of our competitors. They are unable to match the breadth and depth of our edge-to-cloud portfolio. At HPE, we provide a true as-a-service experience that lets you to focus on the innovation and outcomes you need to drive your business, not the underlying infrastructure. We give you choice in how you consume and manage your workloads through our industry-leading solution, HPE GreenLake, the cloud that comes to you. Customer experience has always been core to what we do. Another great example is the experience we deliver at the edge with Aruba Central. Today, Aruba Central is the industry-leading cloud networking solution with the AI-powered insights, workflow automation, and robust security that enables IT to manage and optimize campus, branch, remote, and data center networks from a single dashboard. Aruba Central now supports over 90,000 customers, managing 1.3 million network devices and more than 10 million end devices. It is a proven enterprise-grade cloud-native platform with true global scale. And that's just the start. The technology that underpins Aruba Central is being integrated across our portfolio as we unify and simplify your edge-to-cloud experience with HPE. I am incredibly excited to continue to deliver best-in-class experiences for our customers and to support you on your digital transformation journeys. Thank you for your partnership, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Please stay well and safe. I will hand it back to you, Kirti.
Thank you, Antonio. It has been an amazing 6 years as part of the HPE family, and it's not only great to see the innovation that we've been able to bring to the edge, but that this innovation is influencing what we are doing in the core, right? And as Antonio alluded to, the platform that we have built, the Aruba ESP platform, and the cloud aspects of it behind the scenes is going to serve as the foundation for delivering a unified experience that spans not only the edge of networking and security, but also the core of compute and storage, and bringing all of what HPE has to offer in a unified, consumption-driven experience. So stay tuned. There'll be a lot more coming on that front from HPE over the next few weeks. Now, as we talked about the intelligent edge and the hybrid cloud and bringing them together, there's one foundational part of the technology that I want to touch on, which is SD-WAN. SD-WAN is going to be the backbone for the future digital enterprise. That will be edge to cloud. And so it is about not only transforming away from an MPLS data center-centric architecture to something that's a lot more distributed across the edge and the cloud estates, interconnected with SD-WAN, but it's also about security transformation, because the internet forms the foundation of this future edge to cloud enterprise. And so transforming WAN and transforming security together is what it's going to be about. And David Hughes, founder of Silver Peak, is going to talk a lot more in the next section about how he is helping us bring this world of security and WAN together in his talk. Now, as we've discussed in the last hour or so, digital transformation is here. I just want to summarize a few important points. The future is going to be radically different than what we have done in the past. Incremental change is not going to take you where you need to go, and you really need to embrace this vision of an edge-to-cloud architecture and start to trust some of the newer technologies like AI that are going to really help automate and really bring the value to your businesses. Now, having said that, each of your journeys is unique, and each step you take along the journey is valuable. And we at Aruba have always been here with you with our own unique customer-first, customer-last culture, backing you up all the way. And of course, over the next couple of days, we'll be discussing a lot more about your journeys, about our technologies, and how we can bring these together for you at Atmosphere 21. As I reflect on the innovation that we are bringing to the market and the unrelenting pace of that, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this marks the second decade, the end of 2 decades of the start of Aruba. It was 2001 when I got on the Aruba journey. And at that time, I had made fairly simple observations. I felt wireless was going to be the key area of innovation, not only for a few years, but for the next couple of decades. I saw a lot of opportunity in improving security, improving manageability, improving performance. And here we are 2 decades later, delivering on so many innovations over the last 2 decades: controller-based architectures, controller-less architectures, cloud-based Wi-Fi, unified wired and wireless, mobile-first, ClearPass, Airwave, Meridian, and it keeps going, right? And so I see the next decade, as I stand here, as even more interesting, even more exciting than the last couple of decades, because digital now is no longer just a support. IT is no longer supporting the business, it is the business. And so as IT becomes core to everything you do, I look forward to helping you and working with you through the next decade as part of this journey. Meanwhile, I hope you enjoy the rest of ATM 21, and I wish you a safe and healthy rest of the year, and I look forward to hopefully catching up with you live sometime soon. Thank you very much.